When was the first time that you learned that the original Romans were black people? Peace, love, and light, African people. It's the Goddess Neath Night. This is the Blackest Truth, where I take the not so easy topic of racism, white supremacy, break it down and make it easier for us to maneuver through. I came across this article by Liberty Writers Africa, and I wanted to make sure I shared it on YouTube, especially because the country is recently off of the inauguration, and with so many phrases starting off with the first this and the first female that and the first black this, I think it's important to remind ourselves and remember that our history pre-transatlantic slave trade is far greater than what we've accomplished post-transatlantic slave trade. Always remember to look below for the sources and stick around to the end to hear about who this gentleman in this picture is. The first Romans were black, called the Etruscans. Published December 27, 2020 by Liberty Writers Africa. The fight to reclaim the pride and heritage of the black man has been tedious, but yet fulfilling battle. After hundreds of years of lies told about the black man, nature has made it possible that we are at a great reawakening and that facts about ancient black civilizations are exposed daily. The knowledge which we have gathered on the history of black civilizations has set the black race on a new path, a path to pride and self-awareness. Which African school would have ever thought Africans this secretes? None, actually. That is because, even to date, the curriculum of many African schools is decided by European governments. The first humans on earth were black people, and since that is so and has been proven by historians, scientists, and archaeologists, it is safe to agree that black people dominated many parts of Europe for thousands and hundreds of years before the European stock moved in. Italy, which is known for housing Rome, was originally inhabited by black people who are referred to as Etruscans or Etruscans, but it just sounds a little bit more natural to say Etruscans. Legends say they were descendants of refugees from the fallen city of Troy, led by the dark-skinned Prince Aeneas after the city fell to the Greeks. The statues and art of the Etruscans revealed them to be African black peoples. History shows that they were a sensual and creative people and were the original founders of the city of Rome. The city of Rome was originally known as Ra-Oma, which means a place protected by Ra. The worship of Ra, undoubtedly by the Etruscans, means that they most likely had a spiritual, physical, and cultural link to Kemet, ancient Egypt, or Phoenicia. In archaeology, findings show that African people, the Sicani or the Liberuni, occupied ancient Italy. The Roman writer Virgil revealed that the Pelasgians, the Cometians or black people, who settled southern Greece, also occupied the Palatine, one of the 7 hills of Rome. The Romans later became a Latin people and became a mixed race. But the African element played a major part in Rome's history. The blacks were everything from charioteers to soldiers, generals, and emperors. Rome's famous oracles were the Sibyls, African prophetesses who wrote the famous Sibylline prophecies. These writings were later plagiarized by the Christians. It was the African Sibyls who built the original Vatican, which was a temple to Mami Wasa, goddess of the sea. Is this just not great? Undisputable history evidence. Now, before we go further, we must state that many accounts about the origin of Rome found on the internet or even in books are lies. They are Caucasian versions to usurp the true identity of the Etruscans who occupied Etruria, ancient Rome. The first albinos, Caucasians, who were called the Latins, started to migrate from the Eurasian plains to Italy. They most likely traveled with Hellene's people into Greece and then moved further into Italy, which was a black territory. The contract between the Caucasian and the black inhabitants of Italy was chaotic, as the Caucasians were violent and invasive. It is important to note that the first original black inhabitants were not just limited to Italy, Rome, but stretched to Greece and the Aegean area. When the threats and violence from the white invaders increased, the blacks of these areas formed a coalition. A large number of them packed up their belongings, boarded their ships, and moved out of the land. Some of the people stayed back to defend their lands and deal with the white Etruria. The Etruscans, black owners of Rome, had a unique way of building their homes and cities. They built their houses on steep hills which were surrounded by thick walls. Caucasian Roman mythology claims that the white Romans built the walls, but according to factual history and accounts of the Etruscans, the blacks built the ancient walls of the Rome and the Vatican. To fully understand and possess the entire document to this important historical fact, you can click on this link here. It gives more detailed accounts with pictures and archaeological points to disprove the Caucasian historians who keep lying and distorting history to discredit the black man's achievements and heritage through history. Below are a few pictures that are evidence of the black identity of the first Romans. And this is where it gets better. Here we see an Etruscan from 550 BC. Look like he's saying, let me hold something. This image right here is an Etruscan and it is from 400 to 300 BC. Now what's interesting is I was looking up the charioteers and just looking more into the history of the Black Roman Empire. I did see quite a few of these images. I don't know if it's just me. I hope I'm not sounding perverted. This gives off phallus genitalia vibes. I'm really not trying to be a creep. I just want to know if y'all caught that too. When you see this image, does it not like say kind of like phallus a little bit? Publius Virgil Maro, known as Virgil, the great Latin poet Virgil, holding a volume on which is written the Aeneid. On either side stand the two muses, Clio, history, and Melpomene, tragedy. The mosaic, which dates from the 3rd century AD, was discovered in the Hadrumetum in Sousse, Tunisia, and is now on display in the Bardio Museum in Tunis, Tunisia. Now, what I learned from reading this article and while researching is this is the very same Virgil who walked Dante in Dante's Inferno or the Divine Comedy through the 9 realms of hell. In this story published by Ancient History, it reads right here in the paragraph titled Early Life. He was described as having the appearance of a countryman, being tall but bulky with a dark complexion. So the Virgil, one of Rome's greatest poets, was a black man. And not only was he a black man, he was the black man leading Dante in the Divine Comedy. That right there totally blew my mind. When I was in college, I was this close to changing my major to Western literature. And then check out this image right here, the Roman mosaic of a charioteer. This is a black man. Check out this image. The hair is very similar to my hair in this image. Look at the nose, look at the ears. This is an Etruscan antefix from 500 BC. And I'm just like so enamored by this story and so enamored by these pictures. And I want to know, did you all learn this in school? Was this something that you came across on social media, or was this something that you had already knew about? When was the first time that you learned that the original Romans were black people? I want to hear from you.